All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to Breakout Session 5. I am Diabiana Black, I go by D. I am a Master's of Public Health student at Florida A&M University and a practicum student with Cinch. It is an honor to be a part of the 2025 Black Maternal Health Equity Alliance Conference, standing to protect Black maternity, breaking barriers, and empowering change. So you are currently in Breakout Session 5, the role of Black dads in creating Black birth safety and empowerment. Today, we'll explore the crucial role Black fathers play as protectors, partners, and advocates in maternal health. I'm excited to introduce our speaker who brings passion and dedication to this important conversation. Our speaker for this session is James Butts, Dad Engagement Specialist at the UP Center. James holds a degree in psychology with a focus in crisis counseling from Liberty University and has worked with families across Hampton Roads since 2007. His mission centers around family empowerment, child development, and creating safe spaces for Black fathers to lead and support. Please join me in welcoming our speaker for this session, James Butts. It's the next one. Yeah, just click the arrow on the.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing today? Actually, James Butts is the other dad engagement specialist. I'm Mel Johnson. So it's okay. I plan on introducing myself again anyway, so it's all good. James is a great guy. Today I want to be a voice for Black men and Black dads. I currently work at the UP Center. At the UP Center, we provide more than 20 critical support services for children and families in our community, including mental health, counseling, parenting, education, support, youth mentoring and fostering care and adoption, housing and financial counseling, and services for people with disabilities. The UP Center has been around 140 years, so we're kind of like a staple in this area, in the Hampton Roads area. Who am I? So I guess I introduce myself now. I am Jamal Mel Johnson from Providence, Rhode Island. Moved around a lot as a child. Actually went to 11 schools my first 8 years. I'm the son of Marvin Barnes, who was an ex-NBA player, who actually became a drug addict for 38 years. He also spent 7 years incarcerated. Then his last 7 years before passing away in 2014, he opened up a nonprofit called the Rebound Foundation, and it was about bouncing back from adversity. My mother is Donna Barnes. She was a teacher assistant at alternative schools for 23 years. And she worked in human service, mainly with people with developmental disabilities for 35 years. So again, those are my parents, that's my foundation, and life comes full circle sometimes. Today, I've spent the last 18 years after my basketball career working in the human service field as a special education teacher. I worked as an independent living director. I also worked as in facilities such as psych wards, things like that. I did 15 years of mental health, being that everything came full circle in life. Everything that I've done over the last 18 years was basically everything that happened to me during my first 18 years of living. So in life, things tend to come full circle. And I just enjoy helping people, especially people that look like me. Growing up, I didn't have too many support systems and men that was like positive outlooks and gave real insight on life and striving to get out of the city of Portsmouth. So I vowed to make sure that I did that for my city and all people. Why I joined the UP Center? Because I actually also am an entrepreneur. I have a nonprofit. I also have a strength, a physical conditioner gym where I train people. But I joined the UP Center and became a dad engagement specialist, mainly because I've worked in every situation, but with dads. And I was a person who also didn't have my father around a lot. So I wanted to be a voice to dads so they can understand what it's like to be the child. And throughout that time, we over the last year, 2 years, the program's been open. We've engaged or crossed paths with over 120 fathers. Our mission as a dad engagement specialist, we believe in paternal health, that it is maternal health. A lot of times that dads, especially Black fathers, get lost in the mix. A lot of the stigmas and ideologies that are focused on Black dads make us feel like we're not worthy throughout the times. And I will say in this last year, working with fathers, I don't see those statistics or data, even with my peers. All the fathers I know that are millennials are all in their kids' life, are all active. They all define the odds of all the stereotypes that America and society has placed on Black men. But also, we partner with fathers and also father figures. Our goal is to improve the birthing outcomes for pregnant mothers and babies. Our focus is mainly Black and brown, but throughout this time, we've actually had others in our groups. And one thing I can say about that is the stigmas is not just on Black men, it's on men in general. We've had Caucasians, we've had Cubans, we've had all different type of Dominicans, and they all express the same loneliness, hopefulness, lack of understanding of their roles that they play. We also, we understand that childbirth is, we understand childbirth and advocate before labor and during delivery. We educate fathers with assistants utilizing the parents as partners. We actually have groups on a regular basis. We have 2 groups. We have a dad-to-dad group. As you can see, these are the topics that we went over in 2025. We focused on men's health, men's emotions, work and life balance, healthy relationships. We also, actually, I missed the slide, but we also have another group called Dads Under Construction, which is dealing with paternal fathers. And throughout that process with our groups, we've had a lot of great outcomes and a lot of groups and a lot of great success stories. So I just wanted to give a little insight on some of the fathers that we've dealt with, some of the stories that they have told us. They kind of will show that things are evolving for Black men. And our Dad's a Dad group, which is mainly just for men, it's a safe space. We had a father who was in the group who maybe was signed up like a year. He hadn't been in the group, within a year. So the day he came back, the group was on men's emotions. And he expressed that it must have been the perfect timing for him to come back because he was actually going through a lot of emotional issues with his family and in the sense of his actual family with his wife and his 2 kids. So during the process, he explained that he wasn't being heard in his relationship. A lot of the issues was about communications, but it seemed like the communication barriers was always him not being able to communicate with her. And throughout that time, he stated that he felt whenever he had anything to say about her issues, that it always went unheard. From his mother to her mother to his sisters to her sisters. Everybody always took her side. So one of the things he explained is that he wanted to feel like he felt like he wasn't appreciated enough. He felt like the things he did went unseen. He felt like all she really did was nag on him, but he was showing the proof. He's in his kid's life every day. He comes home, picks him up, does homework, does all the essential things that he believes a father should do to make it a better support for his family. So during the time, I expressed to him about his situation that maybe he should seek therapy. So we know the stigma on therapy with Black men, that Black men don't want to go to therapy. So in the beginning, as he expressed that, he stated, I don't think I need somebody to tell me what to do in my household. So I gave the sentiment. I said, I understand, but at the end of the day, it's bigger than you, it's bigger than her. It's about making sure that you don't buy into the statistics and break up your family for something that could be worked out. I asked him, did he love his wife? Did he think she loved him? He said, most definitely. They've been together 11 years. They had a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. During our group, his 2 boys was actually in his lap the whole hour. You could just see the relationship and how much they loved their father. So what I suggested before he threw his family away, he said he was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Throughout the time, there was also 3 other dads in the group. So those dads actually expressed to them that they experienced therapy and they were an advocate. So when I was speaking to him, I gave him options of ways to go about it, ways he could proceed to maybe, get things complete. So what I suggested was that he reached out to a therapist that one of the other fathers actually stepped in and said that our group before had a therapist come. And when the therapist came, he was feeling the same way as the other father. But he said something told him to call the therapist. He called the therapist, and to this day, he still speaks to that therapist. He said that therapist changed his relationship, and it put them in position to now have a better family, and they actually have a 2-year-old child now. And during that, then another father also stated the same thing. I felt the same way about therapy until I got a therapist. So then I provided some form of support in regards to having him reach out to that same therapist, being that he has 2 men right here that has been a heavy advocate for that therapist. Throughout that time, the next day, I got an email from him. He stated that he felt comfortable in the group. He wanted some more insight in the things I was talking about, and he wanted the actual number of that therapist. So we've been in contact 2-3 times a week via text, once a phone call. He started with the therapist last week. I also suggested that, being that he suggested to his wife they should go to therapy, and she the one, and this time said no. I said, well, this is what you do. You could go to the therapist to get your support for a couple of sessions, and then set up as the man of the house and the leader, set up the therapy session, but give your wife some time, maybe 30, 45 days out before you decide to make a decision like that and leave your family. When we spoke earlier this week, he actually set up that date with her, and they're actually gonna go to therapy together. So Lord willing, them 2 boys' parents stay together. Then in our other group, Dads Under Construction, we had a father, our group was about advocating in the hospitals with the doctors. So we know the stigmas with fathers. Fathers in our group have stated when they go to the doctors, they don't feel like the doctor pays them any attention. Whenever they have a question, whenever they want insight, they always focus on the mother. They tend to keep their eye contact with the mother. This particular father stated that every time he went to the appointment, she never even looked at him. So throughout our group, we was talking about advocating. So we told him, maybe you should advocate for yourself. We explained to him that it's not that the nurses maybe or the doctors is doing it intentionally. They're just so used to maybe fathers not being engaged. So I said, maybe you should take your step first and actually advocate and speak up, and maybe she would do so. So the mother of his child actually stated to him that she felt like the doctor wasn't doing a good job, and she had a lot of concerns and things like that. So he got off work, he went to the appointment because he hadn't been to appointments in a while because he stopped going. He said he felt like there was no need for him to lose money. They had a baby coming, he should be provided. But after our group on advocating, he decided to go that day. He spoke up. He said the doctor looked at him in shock. He said after that moment, every time they spoke in the doctor's office, she looked at him, she looked at her. Then when they got in the car and they drove off, he said his wife broke down in tears. She said, thank you for speaking up. I didn't know you had it in you. And he gave us credit. He told her about our group. And she said she thanked us and everything like that. And since then, they've had their child. And he actually was 58 years old with his second child, about 22 years later. So, it was a blessing in that sense. Then we had another story with a father it's about communication in the mental space during the birthing process. So with this father, the woman communicated a lot that he had bad money management skills, and the stresses that he had with knowing that he's about to have his first child at 37, him not having a father in his life. Finance has always been an issue for his mother. He stated that he always felt beat up because she always talked about finances and how he doesn't know how to handle money. And she was actually putting burdens on him that she didn't even know. So he stated that she wanted a $300 maternal shoot. She stated that she wanted a baby shower that was $1,000. So he couldn't understand that if she complained about his money management, why would she want to spend so much money on something, knowing that she's not working and he's the one paying all the bills and they have a baby due in 6 months. So we talked to him about understanding the process of this new world we live in and how a lot of people do things for social media and things like that. But we talked to him about expressing his feelings, expressing his issues and how he felt and how it didn't collide with what she was saying and actually going over his finances with her. I said, you have to be more open about actually your finances. So we broke down ways to be able to do it. So he wrote down all the bills, he wrote down his income, he wrote down all these variables of finances. And she was able to then now realize that she was putting a burden on him that she didn't know. She said at the end of the day, she stated that she was it's her first time having a child too. And she just wanted certain things a certain way. But now she thanked him for being able to communicate that. So that just is some stories of our groups that shows the impact that Black men are actually working and trying hard to be more supportive of their wives, of their mothers, and everybody. One of the things that we don't get talked about a lot is that men suffer from male postpartum depression, but it actually is a deeper surface. I would like to dive into the deeper surface part of it, being that I was a kid who grew up in a single parent home myself. Most of my friends, I think I maybe only had 4 friends that had fathers around in the whole city of Portsmouth, basically. It's not that, how do I want to say this? It's not that Black men don't want to be fathers or can't step up to the plate. The actual depression starts because when we're younger, we want to be fathers so bad. We want to be the opposite of our father. So growing up our whole lives, we stated things like, I'm going to be at all the appointments with my child. I'm going to raise my child in a 2-parent household. I'm going to make sure I'm be financially stable for my child. And then as life goes on, we hear these other barriers and stigmas and ideologies on Black men as young boys starting at 7, 8, 10, 12, teenagers. Black men, you can't count on. Black men are not providers. Black men is the problem with the community because Black men are not stepping up to the platform and taking care of their responsibilities as men. So these are things that we experience in our head before we even have children. So then as time progresses and we go through life, that time comes when that woman becomes pregnant. But then if we look at the data of finances of the Black man, the median income is $42K for Black men. So when you factor in that, if you factor in the childhood, they're already starting to build up anxiety, depression, and not worthiness, not feeling worthy enough, not feeling like they're ready for this child. So then throughout the process of the 9 months, as time go on, what does society say to the man? Are you ready? Babies are expensive. So naturally people are pouring into their anxiety, the pressures. But what are people doing for the mother? Make sure you tell her she's beautiful. Hey, you know she's gonna go through some emotional barriers. She's gonna have some things. She's gonna snap. You don't understand being a pregnant woman, so you need to just deal with it. That's the life of a male. Just deal with it. So then we build up all this stuff inside throughout the whole time, starting from our childhood. And now we're actually in the midst of what we always talked about. So within that, one thing about depression, 1 in every 10 men experience it. And if the mother experiences it, 50% of the time, then men experience depression. But the funny part about it is they say it starts from the 3rd month to the 6th month for women, and then up to 3 years after birth. Ironically, it never stops for men, especially not Black fathers. Because like I stated before, what we perceived in our head for years is now here. Each year, it's a reminder. If we're not where we think we should be, if the woman we're with, if our family is thinking we're not the father we're supposed to be, we're constantly in anxiety and depression. So then we tend to have escapes and things like that. Sometimes we tend to just tap out, bow out, leave the family, you know, some of the things that happens. But in that meantime, it's something that men in our group have verbalized. They've all verbalized that they just don't feel like they're never given enough credit. So then in regards to Black men, even if you look into society today, there's a lot of stigmas and ideologies that aren't actual facts. Is dealing with Black fathers. Millennial fathers, which is now the new age adults, which are mainly men from 35 to 48 years old. So they say that that's the common adults right now. We actually still have stigmas that are placed from the generation before us, which was our fathers. So if you think about what I stated, most millennial men who are fathered, 78% of us come from a single parent home. Remember the mindset I said that we had of becoming fathers. But again, what do we hear on the news today? Black fathers not around, Black men this, Black men that. But the data shows differently. I don't know how many people seen the CDC report, but they reported that Black fathers are 74% more likely to help with bathing, feeding, homework. 70% of fathers who live with their children, like I said, bathe, dress, change, help their children, compared to 60% of white fathers, 45% of Hispanic fathers. 40% of fathers who do not live with their children see their children multiple times a week. And I think what happens in this case, society, and we'll just say most Black women may use their own personal circumstance and put it as a betrayal of all Black men. But yet when we flip the surface and we talk about Black women, it's not all Black women. We rarely hear not all Black men, even if the data shows us. So what happens is I spend a lot of time speaking to mothers and women about to stop carrying on the white ideologies of the world onto the men in your own house. Stop beating him up verbally when he's not doing what you want him to do, because there's a lot of things he's holding on that he doesn't express to you about you because he accepts you. So sometimes you make your bed, you have to lay in it. He was poor money management before y'all had a baby. He may not have kept a job before you had the baby. So there's a lot of this is the bed you made, you have to lay in it for the sake of the children. Again, in some other statistics, 78% eat meals with their children every day, surpassing 74% of white men, 64% of Hispanics. I could count on two hands how many times I've ate with my mother and my father at a table. Now, having my own son, we do it every day. There's certain barriers that I try to change and crack to make sure that he doesn't have any of those emotions and impacts that I did. These statistics underscore the active roles that Black fathers play in their children's daily lives. But some of the other stigmas that I wanted to talk about in regards to maternal things is Black fathers, anybody in here that knows any Black fathers, uplift them sometimes. Give them some support. Tell them they're doing a good job. We need that just as much as women do. Society tends to put the focus on the woman and happy wife, happy life. I live by the phrase, happy spouse, happy house. So I just think that we have to work as a unit, as Black men and Black women, and supporting each other, especially again in the doctor's office. A lot of the Black fathers today are attending appointments, and if they're not, they're at work. They're not just sitting on the couch not attending appointments. They're going to these places. If you ever around and you see a Black father, tap them on the back sometimes. At the end of the day, we're a family, we're a village. It's us against the world. That's what it's always been. So at the end of the day, we need our queens, just like we need our kings. We all have to come together. We all have to grow. We all have to want more for each other. We all have to change these stigmas. At the end of the day, it's been a great event with all different, aspects and conversations. And I don't think there was too many events on Black men. And shout out to my brother right there. Thank you for coming, man. But even then, just examples like this, we're just trying to advocate and get more Black men. So if you would be able to look us up on our website at the Up Center, we have plenty of other services. But if you know any fathers, if you know any men who just need some support. You'll be surprised on how these groups, once men get around men, they open up and talk so much because they never really have a space to talk. And if you know any nephews, cousins, fathers, anybody that's a man, you know, have them reach out to the Up Center. We're dads to dads. We're just really trying to just change the stigmas and the stereotypes and provide support for Black men. And do anybody have any questions or thoughts on anything that was said? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I'm a doula and I started doing these new parent or postpartum play groups every month. I do one in Newport News and one in Suffolk. Would you be willing to like come out there? Like, I would like to like kind of incorporate this because I always, whenever I'm telling people about the play groups, I'm like, I want your spouse or your partner or whoever to be just as involved. It's not just like for new moms. So I'm really about the whole family. So I would love to, I don't know, maybe collaborate and see how maybe you guys can come to one of our sessions.
We could definitely make that happen. Your session's in person?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely make that happen. I can give you my information when we leave.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a doula, and I've been a doula for quite a while, and I just love the men. I incorporate the visits in the hospital, incorporate the man as well as the women. When a doctor comes into the room, I introduce him as Mr. So-and-so. So I acknowledge him. If no one else acknowledges him, I will acknowledge him. And I let them know who he is and acknowledge his wife and let them know that they are a pair, that they are one. And the doctors seem to respect him more so like that when I give him respect.
Very true. Yes.
So do you all do any sessions, open sessions for the whole family and community? Because what I see is a lot of, especially non-married parents, is a lot of gatekeeping. So I think sometimes generations, especially older generations, you have the maternal grandmother, excuse me, kind of like, that's my baby, and takes that role of the partner, father, and doesn't let the man step up. So you guys do any open sessions where you talk about the importance of fatherhood and the benefits of the father bonding immediately?
We do a lot of one-on-one sessions, but we could definitely always collab and give insight to whatever service you need. We're just trying to touch bases with as many fathers and families as we can. Is somebody else?
I just want to make a statement. I think many people, and it's not carried through the families, but there is a generational degradation of Black men. And it started during slavery. You know, 5 white men would come to a little Black man home family, kick the door in and rape everything that looks like a woman. Okay, when the Black man and the woman have children, they take the children away and split the family up. So it's been coming down historically, down through the generations and generations. And so it started with slavery, painting the Black man as nothing. And I think, when we became educated, when we became professionals, we should have turned that whole thing around and talk about the Black man. The Black family is completely destroyed through history, but people don't like to look at that. They don't want to talk about that. All they want to do is to talk about a Black man, but a Black man was broken and taken away from his family. A Black man was broken and charged a white man get 15 cents. The Black man will get 5 cents an hour for a job all the way through. But many people don't look at it. And I like what you said, when you see a Black man with children and a family, they need a pat on the back. But we need to tell our history, and from the history, learn from it so that we can make it better for the Black men and the Black family.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody left him. We all feel bad.
Do you guys have any groups tailored towards Black fathers dealing with infant loss?
We don't have a specific group for that, but that's something that we can provide support through our one-on-ones and things like that. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because and I want to tell a story. And again, since we're talking about hospitals and Black families and men in general, so this could be to maybe anybody that's a single mother that's raising their son. I grew up with a very, very, very strong mother. You see how many varies I said? You know, she was actually a Black Panther back in the day when she was 19. One of the things that since I was a kid, she always told me, you work the doctors don't work you. She's always told me, she's always spoken about how Blacks get mistreated, Blacks are viewed differently in hospitals. Ironically, she's been the matriarch of the family for the last decade, basically. Most of her siblings, you know, drug addicts and things like that. So she's been the mother to 9, 10 nephews. So me being her actual only child, I've always been forced to be right behind her. So I experienced something in October. My mother actually almost passed away. She had an allergic reaction and tongue swelled up. I got her to the hospital. And in that time, the doctor said her throat was about the size of a quarter. She was on a ventilator for 18 days. I went to the hospital every morning, every evening. And I noticed something. It's funny because I'm like, she built me for this day. So I was always advocating with the doctors, asking them questions, seeing what's going on. And then I noticed something that doctors tend to do. Every time a new nurse came or a new doctor came, they made sure they made a statement like, just so you know, this is her son. He's very aware. And then as it kept happening, I was like, what does this mean? Then we were actually at Maryview, which used to have the nickname Murder View. You know, but if anybody from Maryview is watching this, which is now Bond Secure, I actually want to say that stigma should change. They took very great care of my mother. And in that time, it just showed that they was actually surprised to see a young Black man really speaking up, really asking questions, really coming with questions. They didn't know that I had a mother-in-law that was an RN. They didn't know that I had people that told me some questions to ask also. So once they seen that I was insightful and I was engaged, they didn't play with my mother. But I also told them, just so y'all know, I know she can't talk right now, but she can hear. So when she start talking back, just know she heard everything that y'all said. And she's a pit bull in a skirt. And that's what happened. But there was a couple of things that she remembered and said, but overall, I just wanted to throw that out there that if you do have a son, speak to him about things like that. Speak to him about being able to advocate for anything. Speak to him, speak life into your sons. Make sure that your sons are prepared for this world no matter what. Whether their dad's around or not, you have to do your part at the end of the day. So I just think that I felt like I set a great example for Black men when I was in the hospital. She was actually in there from October 2nd to December 28th, and I went twice a day. So I was just trying to just be a representation, not for my mother, but actually for all Black men that go through that hospital. Just letting them know that you can't stereotype all Black men when they come in these hospitals. I made sure that I still dressed urban, made sure, so I tend to do that a lot. I tend to go places and still keep my urban look, but articulate myself to a certain capacity. So it's an example that you can't judge a book by its cover. It's another example of all Black men that wear fitted hats, all Black men that have tattoos aren't thugs, they aren't untrustworthy. They're actually intelligent men. You know, a lot of times the circumstances throughout this time of our lives, again, nobody told us that. Quick little story about my situation growing up. My mother was telling me I was going to college my whole life. Failing all the classes. I don't know why she used to say that. I don't know what college I'm gonna go to. And then throughout the times, I ended up going to college, you know. And the day I left the college was actually the first time my mother told me she loved me. And it wasn't that she didn't express love. She was just put in a masculine role. She was put in a role where she had to be the father and the mother. And she was just a strong woman. But that day I drove off, I just remembered, I'm like, she's proud because she don't talk like that. So that right there made me have to get this degree. Being a person that spent 5 years in middle school, you know, it's only 3, right? But you know, I spent 5. It wasn't because I was slow or anything, you know, life circumstances. So this all states back to environments and circumstances that these boys, they become men, then they become fathers. And at the end of the day, being a father as a Black man for most of us millennials is trial by error. Nobody showed us the actual example of being a father. Our mothers told us what a man should be. But at the end of the day, a boy, especially a Black boy, has to learn on his own. He has to learn through the trenches. He has to learn while the whole time society has their foot on his neck. It's no different from slavery, you know. And then with the mothers, I just advocate that all you mothers out here, make sure that you, again, pour into your child, make sure that you create your child's blueprint.
And I guess to piggyback on some of the things that were already said, I think it would be great to also advocate for when males are available to the mom, so they could be involved as well in the hospital care. Because in my personal situation, I did notice a different care while giving birth to my son when his dad was heavily involved. So believe it or not, the nurses and doctors thought we were married at the time, even though we're not married, but he was so involved and advocated and knew everything that was going on with me that respect naturally came. So I'm just wondering what we can do as a community to help put males in a position where they're comfortable and they have the knowledge to help advocate for moms as well when they're in the hospital, or even during the whole maternal experience.
I think that's one of the things we do with our group. I think actually, because us men really don't know.
Right.
So I think talking to them about it, not telling them what they need to do, but creating conversations, giving them more information, sending them to places like us. There's not too many groups like us. But making sure that at the end of the day, most of you women kind of know because your aunts or your sister's been pregnant, so you kind of hear things, but us men don't. So I would suggest just using your communication skills to just educate them, but not tell them, you know, you're gonna come to this doctor's appointment. Say, you know, the reason why I think you should come to this appointment is because when they see a male around, they tend to treat us better. They tend to, you know, so it's all about verbiage. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, do you have conversation with teenage fathers?
Yes. Yes, we can. You know any?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
I have one, and he's just doesn't have any idea which way to go. And I believe a woman can't raise no man. So he needs guidance from a man. He needs, let me put it this way, he needs the right guidance from the right man.
Yeah, you came to the right place. We right here. But yeah, I could just definitely give you some information and we can exchange numbers also. If anybody else know any pregnant mothers, because wherever there's a pregnant mother, there's a father.
I'm sorry.
I do.
Last-
I don't have no question.
Oh,
I was just agreeing.
Okay. We have one more speaker.
Yeah, so on that note, since everybody asked their questions, I appreciate y'all. Hopefully we gave some information and hopefully y'all can send some dads to the Up Center and the Dad's a Dad program. Make sure you spread the word. Thank you. Everybody looks beautiful. You know, Black Pride, baby.
Oh, no, it's not. I did not.
Who's supposed to be in this room?